All right, Alex, this just got very real all of a sudden.
Nah.
We're in the big leagues now.
I didn't come up with a joke for you, but that's okay. Hello and welcome to Deep Cuts the Game, the movie trivia podcast where I give my three contestants three different movies and they try to come up with the most random, obscure, or minor actors from those films. The deeper the cut, the more points they get. I'm your host, Jeff Penn, and with me as always, no insults tonight, Alex Young.
Oh, hey, what a nice change, Jeff. How you doing?
Yeah, I figured I'd be very professional tonight, so I'm going to edit out that mess up at the beginning, Alex, and it's going to sound perfect.
That doesn't seem like something you're going to follow
We can
through
do
on.
any list you want, just so you know. We can do either one.
Okay.
Now that I feel like I understand, when you just recapped, I was like, oh, okay, I see now.
All right. Well, I'm not even going to tell people who this person is yet because this is huge horse, and I'm so excited then to do the movies that I've got for you then.
Me too.
Awesome.
And I was gonna do a TV show you were in, but everyone else talked me out of it because I was like, that is a lot of stuff I was gonna have to watch, even though I think it's one of the best things to ever be on TV. I'll say what it is.
That's a straight up zip code reference.
Oh, I mean, God, there are so many people in that, but no, I was talking about Band of Brothers. But
that's a great one too.
That's like my generation's
a great one too. Like, listen, I love Beverly Hills 90210, but there's that, and then there's Band of Brothers, and
but like, although culturally speaking, the zip code covered like a lot of stuff.
It did
for sure. I watched that every week with my mom. We were like, we gotta sit down and watch it. I'm like, I don't understand half what's going on, but I love this show so much.
And then she's like, now you got to go to bed. I got to watch Melrose Place, and things are to get steamy.
That is accurate.
Exactly.
I have seen that all the way through at least 5 times, probably.
Melrose or Beverly Hills?
Beverly Hills 90210.
Oh, wow. All right.
Yeah.
I tried to do it again a few years ago, and I got to some of like the Brenda and Dylan episodes, and I was just like, I just don't. Yeah. I don't care anymore. I need someone's taking drugs, or someone's got a gun, or speaking to our guest here, someone on the football team maybe is taking steroids or something like that.
Huge misunderstanding.
Yes.
Switch it up. Go to Buffy, maybe.
Alex, why don't you introduce Sam, and then we'll tell people, if they haven't figured it out already, who our surprise guest is for tonight.
I mean, you're really bearing the lead on our first guest, but it is joining us again, the illustrious, the effervescent, nay, the evanescence, Sam Barry. Welcome to the show, Sam.
Thanks for having me back. I promised to do the worst I've ever done, so it's a really low bar to hit when you almost got a 2 once. So,
well, okay, so I wrote a really long thing here, but I'll try to paraphrase it a little bit. We're thrilled to bring on our next guest. He has shared the small screen with DiCaprio, the big screen with Pitt. He has killed hundreds of zombies alongside Daryl and Rick, and also portrayed a member of the heroic Easy Company. He went toe-to-toe with Buffy, took Brenda to prom, was Clarice Starling's boss, and most recently was the biggest and baddest of them all as Lex Luthor in the recent completed series Superman and Lois. Please collectively put your hands together for Mr. Michael Cudlitz. Welcome to the show, Michael.
Hey, thank you.
Super thrilled to have you here. Like we said, like we just went through some of your things, and there's also like 9 other things that we're all like, oh my God, that was great too. This was great. And we could probably spend hours talking about them.
I've been very, very fortunate in my career, mostly by accident.
I was gonna say, like, the one thing I kind of came across when doing a little bit of research for this is like, are you this generation's Harrison Ford? Like you were
well, like, I mean, I'm not a dick. Like, it's like he's doing all this press for the shrinkage thing, and like, oh, he's so wonderful. When I worked with him, he was just a dick. Like, and then and I've said that in other things, and I just like. And it was really disappointing because I love his work and I didn't want it to go that way. But
I was meaning more that you were like a carpenter and stuff.
Yeah, that's about all we have in common because I don't treat people poorly at work.
Maybe that's
because I was looking at, you were a construction coordinator, carpenter, and a prop maker for things such as Chud 2.
Yeah.
Dunstan Checks In.
Yep, that's where I got my SAG card on Dunstan.
American History X.
Yep.
And of course, Beverly Hills 90210.
On American History X, I have to say that this is like a weird thing. I was listed as one of the construction coordinators because the designer and the construction coordinator at the actual construction coordinator on the show had a falling out. I worked on that show for like a week and a half.
Okay.
And they gave me a credit for construction coordinator, more of an FU to the other guy. So I always feel that's just not cool because it was his show. I was like, literally, I was there for a week and a half, did very little, did not deserve to be listed as coordinator on that. So you're getting all the dirt, you're getting all the underbelly right off the bat.
Great. I was like, I'm going to get an email from him tomorrow like, hey, the first 10 minutes of that, can you just cut that all?
That's like Debbie Downer. Like, who shits on Harrison Ford?
I mean,
people who work with him and he treats like shit.
I love his work too, but I've heard that and I'm like, never meet your hero.
No, I've also heard he's great. And I'm just thinking, sure, you're able to have a bad day, but I'll say, like, this will all probably get cut anyway. But I was like he was treating me like shit until he knew who I was, until I knew I was friends with Wayne Kramer, the director, and this and that. And then he was like, oh, okay. And I'm like, you know what? That even makes you a bigger dick.
Mm. Yeah.
Like, what? Like, you're treating me differently because you think I have some sort of status?
Yeah.
I mean, we're all treating you different because we're super thrilled.
Well, I mean, you don't have to, but
no.
But everybody wants to be treated nicely. That's kind of
and like I was gonna say,
everybody deserves to be treated nicely.
From the first time I met you, and I'm gonna tell you the story I was told on the day I met you, and you may be like, Jeff, none of that actually happened. So you were coming up in, I think it would have been May or June of 2019 for the show The Kids Are All Right.
Okay.
And you were doing a green screen shoot in Toronto, and you were kind of the last person on the schedule for that today at like 2:00 or something like that. And at some point during the day, somebody came to me and said, he might not make it. He's flying from Georgia, but his passport is in New York. And we're like, oh, well, there's no way he's getting to us if his passport's in a different state. And then the story was, we were told you flew to Buffalo. Somebody got your passport to you.
No, I have a passport card, which you can only use to drive through or to come in through a port.
Okay. So you had to fly to Buffalo and then take a car to Toronto. So yeah, you showed up in like a Lincoln Town car or something like that. Yeah. And then we were like, holy shit, the guy, he made it. And then I made a reference to what I thought was pretty clever, was a Home Alone reference, was like, we thought you were going to show up in a U-Haul truck. And you immediately, if I'm not mistaken, went for a "Those Aren't Pillows" reference from Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
Amazing. Yeah, that sounds about right.
and then from there, you were like, hey, I hear they shoot Star Trek Discovery here. And I was like, I think so. I did see some trailers. And I was taking you around to where I thought they shot it. And I was like, I don't know if we're allowed in. And you looked at me and said, you seem like a kind of guy that worries too much. And I was like, you're bang on correct.
You're the guy who calls ahead and asks for permission, and I'm like, just fucking show up.
Yeah.
They'll let us in or they won't.
I was gonna say, I think that works for you. I think you can just show up, and people are like, "Yes, sir, come in."
I think that works for a lot of people. I just had my buddies tell me that they were at the Saturn Awards, and they had some dude just wander up and sit at their table.
Oh.
And it wasn't. He sat there for like 40 minutes before they got somebody to get rid of him because he didn't belong in the event. He just wandered up.
Wow, that's bold.
No.
I'm just going to start carrying a clipboard around while you're in place.
Headphones. You just be like, huh?
Talking to someone.
Hang on a second.
But the best part of that story was we did make it up to the set where they were doing it, and then I cannot remember her name, but from The Walking Dead, came out of her trailer in full Star Trek gear, and I think you were in like a suit, and you guys are hugging, and I was like, I'm not allowed to take pictures, and I really would love to take a picture of this because this is pretty cool seeing her in her Star Trek gear, and you.
I think she started screaming when she was in her trailer and jumped off the top, like her top step, onto me because we hadn't seen each other in a while.
So yeah, that was. I was like, I sent you that story on just on social media, and you're like, "Yep, I totally remember that." So thank you for clarifying, because I was like, "How the hell did they get a passport to him in Buffalo?"
Yeah, no. Again, I had traveled and I just read it wrong because it said port of entry. It was like you could enter. I looked at it when I first got it quickly, and the passport card, you can enter either Canada or Mexico, but only if you're driving or coming in through a port.
Okay.
If you're flying in, you have to use your actual passport. So I flew into Buffalo and drove through.
And you showed up on time. So, which was huge because a lot of people.
Very impressive.
I think we had a guy one time. What was that show, Alex? The guy from LA. It was something Mayor.
Yep. I
Mayor of
remember
Easttown.
Brandon. So he was great.
It was this young guy. The show didn't last very long. And he's like this young 18-year-old guy who runs for mayor of, I don't know if it's like LA or some small town in California, and wins. That's the premise of the show. He was supposed to come up for a green screen shoot. Didn't know that he needed a passport. Like, because I think he was like 20 or so, and he was like, "What? You need a passport to go to Canada?" And we're like, "Yeah, unfortunately."
Well, if he was older, I would say maybe I believe that, but like we've needed a passport ever since he's been alive.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, so maybe he had one and just
since 9/11, everything changed. But it used to be we could go up with just
driver's license.
Yeah.
Because you're from New York State, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
City, but
okay, cool. And you're in California now. Not to get too bleak and drab, but how's everything in your area? You're good? Okay.
Yeah, we're about a mile and 2 miles away from everything. A lot of people lost a lot. We didn't even, because of the way the wind shifted, we didn't even get any kind of smoke damage here.
Wow.
But we were like on the verge. They have on the app, it's like ready, set, go on so far as evacuations, and we got to the closest we ever got was ready. So far as evacuating.
That's scary.
Very scary.
Okay, so before we get into any like hard-hitting questions or anything like that.
Do we have those?
Not really. But I want to try something with you. So you seem to be very well versed on your career. If I give you the name of a character, do you think you can remember the show or the movie that you played it in?
Oh, highly likely.
All right, let's go through some of my favorites here. Chuck Steak.
That would be either as a sitcom. It was Step by Step, or the one with Kirk Cameron.
Yeah, Growing Pains. Yeah, where I think
I was in with Hilary Swank was the over my shoulder on that.
Oh, really?
Kicked in the door and said, "Let's get stupid" when we broke up their little ski trip. But yeah, that was one of the first things Hilary ever did.
And
whatever happened to her?
I was saying to Sam, and I was like, I think you wear this almost the same football varsity jacket.
It was the standard issue sort of half-hour sitcom. If you were in any kind of sports team, you had the big Letterman jacket.
Yeah, it was the blue and gold. I think in Buffy, you're wearing the same type of jacket.
Yep.
Beverly Hills 90210, same kind of jacket.
Yep.
All right, okay, let's give you something a little more.
You just have a closet of jackets. That's what
I don't. But I had a very and I'm glad, because I was the construction coordinator also on Beverly Hills 90210, and my Letterman jacket came up missing at the end of the shoot, and they I know all the wardrobe people, and they were real sweet, and they were just like, okay, just we're not gonna be crazy mad, but just let us know so we know where it is. Did you take it home? I was like, I would never do that without.
I literally have 9.
I mean, I would definitely do that, but I would tell you. You know, because one you can charge me for, the other one is you're a thief.
Yeah.
So you've heard it here. He did not steal.
I did
the
not.
varsity jacket.
And I'm kind of pissed off because it was one of those ones that I would have wanted.
Okay, how about character Tad Overton?
Tad Overton was on The Dragon, the Bruce Lee story.
It is, yes. I got one where you had 2 different names, Freddie Catan and Mark Casey. It was a TV show. I'm assuming you were on it twice.
Oh no, I had 2 names because that was Anthony LaPaglia's show. Without a Trace.
Were you a serial killer or something like that?
And played 2 different characters.
Okay. Because I know, I was going to say, because you had a bit of a run there in the 2000s where you were often a killer.
I was a guy. I used to describe that as the time where I had my own show, except the entire cast and crew changed every week.
Yeah,
I did 13, 14 guest spots a year for 2 or 3 years.
Criminal Minds. I just watched it this past year. I was going through old Criminal Minds. I was like, oh my god, there he is.
Yeah, I worked with Anthony LaPaglia on the end of one season, and then he was directing the next year, and he basically went through and hired a bunch of actors that he really liked working with prior in the seasons prior, so that he knew what they were like on set. So he made it so he was setting himself up for success, basically, by having people that he knew he could work with and he liked what they were doing. So
here's a good one. Chubb.
Chubb, River Runs Through It.
River Runs Through It. And I think that's kind of like where I realized you weren't who you were on TV. You know, like as a kid, like I think, you know, when you're on Beverly Hills 90210, I was like, I don't like this guy. I do not like Tony Miller one bit. But then it's like, I think I was like 17, 18, A River Runs Through It. I'm trying to watch better movies. And I'm like, I like this guy now. And I like that movie. I watched that movie way too many times.
That's the first film I ever did. I actually did that film while I was construction coordinator on Beverly Hills 90210. When that came out, the producers called me in the office and they said, we didn't know you were really an actor.
That's a compliment.
Everybody's an actor. I was like, oh,
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
And I was like, I don't want to act on the show. I said, I'm just, you guys are my day job. They go, no, we actually have something for you if you want to come in. So that was when we auditioned for the steroid episode.
Funny that you had to do like a movie with Brad Pitt and Tom Skerritt, and I think it's Craig Schieffer is the other.
Craig Sheffer, Emily Lloyd.
Yeah, the three of them. You had to do that movie for Beverly Hills 90210
in order to do drugs with Steve Sanders.
Yeah. All right, Gummy Bear. Or
that would have been Wayne Kramer's movie. The Gun with Paul Walker.
Paul Walker, Running Scared. Yes,
Running Scared. Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a great movie.
And then, okay, I'm going to give you two very, like, these were small. So if you can remember these, well done. Bud Hardiman.
I do remember Bud Hardiman.
I could tell you who played your dad, if that helps.
Oh, no, that was Against the Grain.
Against the Grain with, I believe, Stephen Tobolowsky played your...
Stephen Tobolowsky played my dad. John Terry was in that. Ben Affleck was the main guy.
Yep.
I was his best friend.
Yeah, the show didn't last long, but I remember liking it as a kid.
Wayne Knight was in it. The cast was insane.
Had a really good cast, yes. Yeah. Okay, and here's my favorite one.
Uh-oh.
White Teenager number 1.
That would have been Picket Fences. David Kelly.
Yeah. So yeah, it was. I think it was one of those people learned valuable lessons at the end of that episode.
Yes, everyone did. I met Josh Brolin on that. I think.
Oh, nice.
And loosely kept in touch with him, and I bump into him every once in a while, and he's always very, very kind. I've never worked with him. I want to work with him, but he's.
I feel like Outer Range would be a good place for you to.
That's what I thought so too.
Yeah. Like you got the right look for like someone that you could have been. You know, what's the dad, the other dad from the other farm, if anyone's watched Outer Range. And he does all the Stephen King book narrations.
Oh, Will Patton
is the other dad, right? And he dies in the show. But yeah, I'm like, you could have played.
Will's a good dude. I worked with Will on Renegade. Lorenzo Lamas.
Oh wow.
San Diego, early on in my career. Will's a good dude.
Before you got here, Sam and I were talking about how one of her favorite shows was Southland with you in it.
Oh, yeah.
And I was saying to Sam that YouTube knows what I like because for whatever reason, when I go to YouTube, one of the things they're always trying to show me is the clip of you in Southland where you're just trying to have ice cream.
Ice cream. Yep.
And
yeah.
And you just lay into it. I'm like, that's right. He's allowed to have a break. He's allowed to have ice cream.
Yeah. But yes.
Where's Art?
Would you like a lick?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And I was like, YouTube, you know what I love.
Yes.
So, okay. So one of the questions I kind of wanted to ask you is like, obviously you've been around, you've been working for a long time now. And do you get stopped often where people think they know who you are, but have confused you with somebody else? Like, I guess my question is who's your celebrity doppelgangers?
Celebrity doppelgangers, it's Neil McDonough.
Okay, from Band of Brothers and
Band of Brothers too. Our storylines get confused on that a lot when people talk to us, and we've both talked to each other about it, and we've agreed. All we do is because it makes they feel really bad when they're so committed and they think that they've met the person. So we've just decided that we're both going to always be kind and just say thank you. Because they're like, oh my God, when you lost your mind and you almost killed yourself, that was just so heartbreaking. It reminded me of when my grandfather and blah blah blah. And you just go, oh my God, thank you.
Yeah, you don't want to be like,
no, that was me. That was Neil.
Yeah,
the same thing.
I was caught behind enemy lines and had to kill a guy in a barn. And
he gets that one too. He's like, oh, when you had the thing, and then you were stuck behind, and he just goes, oh my gosh, yeah, thank you, yeah. We both had a wonderful time doing it, and I think we both have sort of reaped similar career things from that show. as well as life things and friendships. So we try to really, really keep it positive. But I have been confused with when I was doing a lot of high school stuff. I would get confused with people who thought they actually knew me from high school, not the high school show. Like, where do I know you? My favorite is my favorite little interchange, and it's probably every actor's favorite / not favorite interchange, is when somebody says, "Oh, where do I know you from?" And you're like, "Oh yeah, probably." In this, back in the day, I was like, "Oh, probably 90210." No, that's not it. And then
I don't know.
now I'm the idiot, right? It's like, now I'm sorry, I don't know where you know me from.
Yeah.
From the television? I
List
don't know.
everything you watch. Yeah.
Exactly. But usually I can get it when people go, where do I know you from? I'm like, well, how old are you? And then I can get it to the Band of Brothers, Southland, or Walking Dead.
Yeah.
But I was approached by some guy who was pounding on the window. I was sitting there eating, pounding on the window. He's like, dude, come on. And I'm like, all right, he won't stop. I come outside. He goes, bro, do you still see the guys? I said, no. What do you? He's like, the guys from the team. Like, I don't know. He's like, we didn't play football together, did we? So, I'm pretty sure we didn't. Last time I played football was Pop Warner when I was like 12. He's like, you didn't go to Northridge? I go, I did not. He's like, shit. And then he realized he knew me from a football movie that I did, and he had imposed that onto his high school football experience. So I got that kind of thing more than anything.
I mean, I had a guy drive by me on his bicycle and stop, and I knew where I knew him from. Like, we used to ride like transit together. And I would see him every day, like sitting across from me on the train. And he's like, hey, where do I know you from? And in my mind, I'm like, well, from the GO train. But he's like, and he mentioned some high school. He's like, class of like 84. And I was like, well, I would have been 8. So thanks for that. Thinking that. And I'm like, I explained, I'm like, actually, no, we used to ride like the GO train together every day for like 3 years. He's like,
oh, that's right.
Like, well, that sucks. Bye.
Yeah, and he biked away. So, okay, you just finished playing Lex Luthor, and I know when you were born. I'm not going to say what year you were born, but I'm assuming you grew up, kind of like.
I just turned 60.
I wasn't going to say it, but yeah. You grew up probably watching Superman, kind of like I did, and your Lex Luthor was Gene Hackman.
Yep.
You are a very different Lex Luthor than kind of
than everybody.
Yes, I was going to say, you are the most physically imposing Lex Luthor that's ever been on the screen. Like, this is a Lex Luthor that I feel like if he had a little bit of kryptonite in his hand, would beat the shit out of Superman just for fun.
Just because
he can.
Yeah. So obviously they cast you for a certain reason, for a certain look, a certain energy you bring to it. Is that kind of what you were going for as your Lex Luthor?
I went with what they wrote, honestly.
Okay.
I did a bunch of research, or as I told the showrunner, Todd Helbing, real quick flashback on that. Todd Helbing, who is the showrunner on Superman and Lois, was one of the PAs on Beverly Hills 90210.
Oh, shit. Oh, no way.
Yeah. So he has come up in this world, which is a good lesson to everyone, including you, Harrison Ford. Treat everybody kindly, even if it's only for your self-interest. But yeah, he remembered me from Beverly Hills 90210, and he has followed my career throughout. And he, according to him, had always wanted to work with me. And they saw this as an opportunity. They didn't think they were going to be able to get me because of scheduling and finances. So they started poking around, is he interested at all? And I was like, 100%. Let's see what we can do. And then they were like, nah, we don't think we can afford you. I don't know if the time's going to work out. And this went on for like 4 or 5 months. And then I finally said, just you guys, it's coming up on the time. We're getting into pilot season. You need to basically shit or get off the pot. You need to just either offer me this thing or stop talking about it. And they went ahead and offered it. And I'm glad they did, because I was very excited about doing it. And as I told Todd, I started doing a bunch of research on it, and then realized that the research was kind of pointless, because Lex is so different in all of the different universes, that it just depended upon, what direction they wanted to go. And they described what they wanted to do and where he was coming from and how they saw him. And then we started talking both back and forth about what we wanted to do so far as his look, and what prison had done to him, and what being imprisoned had done to him, so far as removing him from his family, because there's a huge family theme that runs through the series itself. Mm-hmm. So we really anchored everything about Lex, and his hatred for the Kent family was based on what they did to him and his family.
And can I ask, did you have any nervousness or anxiety going into a role as iconic and well known as like Lex Luthor? Like you said, it's a different interpretation, but obviously he's a huge character.
Yes, and I it's funny. I talked to my wife about this. I said, look, like the Walking Dead fans are crazy intense. I said, but they kind of pale in comparison to the mm-hmm. I said these fans, and I say this with respect to the fans because I know. And I always, put this caveat in and sort of clarify, because I know why. They love Superman. They hate each other. They hate any different iteration that doesn't fit within who they believe Superman is, whether it be the Golden Age or the more current stuff or the Zack Snyder. There's people who have very strong opinions, and they're based on a lot of truths, and some of them are just their truths, and some of them are actual truths that are comic related. But there's so many different universes and worlds that it's all correct. Mm-hmm. So it's just what you like or don't like, And so I said to my wife, I said, look, if we get a 20% sort of positive reaction, we've succeeded. Like we knocked it out of the park. And I would say ultimately in the end, we had much more than that.
Amazing.
Much more than that. He was very, very, very well received. People had a big issue at first because I had a long goatee, beard initially, for the prison stuff, and who he felt he had to become to survive and take over and thrive in prison. And then when he really got back to his roots of who he was, we became, the full-blown iconic, completely shaven, completely clean shaven in the suit Lex Luthor that exists today in the comics. But everything else in between, the physicality and the menace and all those other things, are absolutely things that are in the comics that have just never been done in live action.
Fabulous.
Yeah, I don't think Jesse Eisenberg would have brought the same sort of.
It's just different.
Oh yeah, it's very different. Yeah. Okay, so I could talk to you all night, but you've got.
Can I ask one more question, Jeff?
Oh, sorry. My gosh!
Sure. Let me do one more. Just because
we don't always talk for a little bit longer. That's fine.
Okay. We don't always have this opportunity, but you are in one of my favorite movies that I saw theatrically when I was in college, and I feel like I was the exact demo for that flick. And I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about it. It's called Sex Drive.
Oh,
2008. I believe Sean Anders directed that, who will go on to do lots of other comedies as well. Do you have anything? What was that like working with him? I mean, the cast is crazy as well.
I had a great experience on that. I love doing comedies. I don't get cast in a lot of them. I did a lot of sitcoms early on in my career and then stopped doing it. But I was told early on that my comedy is too angry to be like third, fourth, or fifth guy on the thing. Like to be like angry, you have to be the guy. Or at least at the time when those sort of sitcoms, those kinds of characters were like that. So interestingly, when it came around with The Kids Are All Right, I got to play the grumpy sort of Archie Bunker, person who was the lead. But next to Mary McCormack, who's just a goddess. Mm-hmm. I mean, she's just incredible. That show should have lasted for many years, and she should have won many, many Emmys for it.
Yeah. Agreed. Yeah,
she's just incredible. But we shot down in Hollywood, Florida, that was fun. And I thought, was it Marsden?
Yep, James Marsden's
Yeah.
brother. Yeah.
Yep.
He is so good in that movie.
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh, so good. Everyone was great, and Josh, who plays the lead. I saw Josh when I was up in Vancouver doing Lex. He was up in Vancouver shooting something, so
Oh, yeah?
we've kept in touch over the years. He's a good dude. Yeah,
Awesome. That's great.
yeah. Everybody was great.
It seemed like a lot of fun. I really enjoyed that flick. It's
It
great.
was. It was stupid, and it's like not often you get to do movies that are just like that sort of physical comedy and wonderfully stupid. I feel like it was like a Will Ferrell kind of movie for kids. Like it was like real physical comedy, and and all those guys did a great job with it. Yeah.
It was funny. I just watched it like a couple weeks ago, and I don't know if they did it intentionally, but there's a scene where James Marsden's character comes out and they're playing the song "Got You Where I Want You" by the Flies. And I was like, that's the same song they used in Disturbing Behavior with James Marsden and Katie Holmes like 10 years before. So it was like, it must have been a little nod.
I don't know. Those guys are pretty smart. I wouldn't doubt it. I wouldn't doubt if it was on purpose.
Yeah, a little nod to like, hey, here he was in high school. Now he's 10 years later.
Yeah.
Sam, did you have any questions before we get into the game?
I raised my hand. I have a question. I don't interrupt though. So I have loved a lot of the roles you played over your career, and I guess my question is, I almost stopped watching Walking Dead. Spoilers for anybody who sees it, because that crushed me. Even though Negan's great, but I was very upset because you were one of my favorite characters.
I love Jeffrey. Come on, who doesn't love Denny from Grey's Anatomy?
But my question, I guess, is, out of all the roles you've played, or all the characters or shows or movies, is there ever a specific role that you thought you wished you got to expand on, or see how it could have grown? Like Southland, I guess, like kind of ended a little bit earlier than maybe people would have wanted, or something like that, where you wanted to see the show go longer or your character evolve more.
I would have loved to see Southland go longer. Because we had such a wonderful cast and it was incredibly creative. I would have loved to been a little bit longer on Walking Dead, because I felt like they missed an opportunity so far as Robert Kirkman, who created the graphic novels, was never happy with the death that he gave Abraham. And I felt this death was way better, but I feel like it could have been even better had they let Abraham and Sasha, who was Sonequa, go just a few more episodes into what the comic book calls all-out war, and then we could have seen Abraham and Sasha operate as soldiers and go out in something maybe more dramatic that was more of a sacrifice, and and have the two of them go together. I feel like the audience would have bought it easier. If two characters at once weren't murdered, but they chose to do this heroic thing to save, what else? And Lex Luthor, Superman and Lois, I would have loved to have gone longer on that. I directed on that as well.
Oh, nice.
Which I got my first opportunity to direct on Walking Dead, and I did 4 of the main shows and then 2 of the spinoffs, and then Superman and Lois gave me an opportunity, and had it gone more, I would have directed as well more. But that group, boy, Tyler Hoechlin and Bitsy Tulloch, and the entire cast and the whole creative team, it just doesn't get any better than that. It just doesn't. That's top of the game television producing. From all around. And we were up in Vancouver, had an amazing Canadian crew. Just a great experience.
That's awesome.
You're welcome back in Canada anytime.
And I will take you up on that. I love Canada.
All right, I guess we should play deep cuts, even though this sounds way more interesting. But... Okay, so Michael, the way we start the game is, this is going to sound weird, but I'm thinking of a movie in my head, and the 3 people try to guess what movie I'm thinking of. I give you no hints. There's nothing here that's going to lead you to the movie. I'm going to let Sam go first just to show you how this works. Sam, what movie am I thinking of?
I think you're thinking of Freaky, the sort of
The-
comedy
The
horror.
Vince Vaughn. Yeah, I
Yeah,
like that one. Yeah.
Great.
I'm not thinking of that.
Oh, how dare you?
Alex, what movie am I thinking of?
Are you thinking of one of my favorites, Martin Campbell's Vertical Limit?
With Robin Tunney and
Yes. I
Chris
think Bill
Chris
Paxton's in that one too. Chris
O'Donnell, right?
O'Donnell.
That's the-
Yes. I'm gonna say Chris O'Donnell.
No, not thinking of that either. So, Michael, you've got a chance. No, it was actually. You know why I was thinking of this movie? Because I was like, if there's a movie you should have been in, it should have been this movie, Copland.
Yeah.
I feel like
James. He graduated college a year before me from Cal Arts.
oh shit,
James-
then you totally should have been in the movie. Then you should have been Michael Rappaport's
James
character.
Mangold, right?
Yeah, you should have been Golden Boy or whatever.
Oh, but that was a crazy friggin' star-studded. That was like,
Oh my god! Yeah, but you could have been
Great
Rappaport.
I was like, I wouldn't even be considered that for
Oh,
any of that today.
I mean,
then I'd be like
that
dude-
is a star-studded
I'd be
movie.
a guy who's like wound up in a trunk after not saying any dialogue, shot in the head.
I
I
mean,
was the guy who was shot. I was the guy who was in that scene, but he was shot in the head yesterday.
Still part of the movie.
Just a decayed corpse. Yeah.
Okay, well, none of you got it right. None of you even went with like really a crime. Well, you know what, Sam? I'm gonna go with you with Freaky. Do you want to go first, second, or third, Sam?
I'm gonna take second. It's my safety spot.
All right, and since Michael is our guest, Michael, would you like to go first or third? And I'll let you know that we go 1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1. So if you go first, you got to wait a while to get back to your pick. So if you go third, you get 2 picks in a row right off the top. Would you like to go first or third?
I don't care.
Okay. Since they're your movies, I'm going to put you first, Michael, because, and hey, no one should feel bad about saying their own name when playing this game of deep cuts because
I'm not going to say my name though.
All right, no.
And they're only features, right?
Yes. Okay. So the 3 movies we are doing today, Alex, you kind of ruined it by talking about Sex Drive, but it is the 2008 comedy Sex Drive.
Great.
The 1997 comedy drama Gross Point Blank.
I love you, man. I love you too, Bob.
Do you remember what the last line of your poem is in that movie,
For a
Michael?
while.
For a while.
For a while.
Sorry. And the last movie, which you were not in, but it does connect to those other movies with people who are in them, is the 2010 comedy Hot Tub Time Machine.
All right.
All right. So take a few minutes, think of the names of anybody you can think. And you remember, the more obscure they are, the smaller a role they had in the movie, the more points they are worth.
This is the stuff I'm terrible at, so good luck on any of that.
Hot Tub Time Machine 1, right?
Yes, I have not seen Hot Tub Time.
2?
There was a 2, and they
was a
replaced
sequel.
the lead with Adam Scott. Don't
Yes.
they, Alex? They
Yeah,
replaced.
they
I won't
do.
say the lead's name because he's in some movies. But while you guys are thinking, let's hear a word from our sponsors. Movie buffs and collectors, this one's for you. MoviePosters.com offers an incredible selection of posters for every taste, from obscure indies to your blockbuster favorites.
Hey, Jeff, do they have any Jay Baruchel posters?
Well, I do know they've got How to Train Your Dragon.
And Jeff, have they any Sean Connery motion pictures?
Yeah, Alex. Zardoz?
And do they have any posters for Christopher Walken movies?
Yes, Alex, they do.
Go to movieposters.com and use promo code DEEPCUTS15 to get 15% off your next purchase. This is my real voice.
All right, so our 3 movies tonight are Gross Point Blank, Sex Drive, and Hot Tub Time Machine. Our special guest, Michael Cudlitz, is getting to go first. Michael, what is your deepest deep cut from any of these 3 movies?
Actor D.V. DiVicente.
Holy shit. I did write that one down because he is also
The writer
of the writer-producer. So, yeah. Well done. Who did he play in the movie? Do you remember?
He was the guy with the gun. Oh, the gun. Ooh.
Oh, yeah. He's the kind of the security guard. Yeah.
Oh, you know what? Wait. That might actually have been Steve Pink, who is the other writer-producer.
Steve Pink is the security guy
with the gun.
And not that it matters, but I believe he directed Hot Tub Time Machine.
Really?
Possibly.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm gonna give you DV DeSantis, who's actually worth more points than, and no one can say only person who could stay Steve Pink now is Michael Cudlitz. Okay,
That's
He'll
fair.
steal that.
Yeah.
Yes, D.V. DeVincentis was the writer, and so he's worth 18 out of a possible 20 points. So well done, Michael.
Amazing.
You're doing great. Sam, what is your first deep cut?
Well, I only want to say this because I feel like if I don't say it, Alex is going to say it. So I'm
Okay.
going to say Michael Cudlitz.
You can totally say Michael Cudlitz because he's in Sex Drive for 9 points as the angry boyfriend driving a big truck. And obviously, what was your name in Grosse Pointe? It was Bob DeStefano, yes, who is a car salesman, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I love you, Bob. I love you too.
So he is worth 9 points for each of those movies, Sam. So you got 18 points.
Wow,
as well.
well done.
I can now leave because this is one of my second highest scores.
Alex, you've got 2. What is your first and your second deep cut?
All right. So as you expected, most of these are going to be coming from Sex Drive. But the Mr. Cudlitz's love interest in that movie is Ted Lasso's ex-wife in Ted Lasso.
Andrea Anders, which I don't know, like she's your girlfriend in it, but I don't know if you guys are actually even in a scene together, Michael, because it's kind of like
just the in passing in the
motorhome
trailer.
Yeah. Where I believe it's her father sitting there with his balls hanging out.
They had a prosthetic ball made up. And,
thank God.
But no, it gets worse. The prosthetic ball did not
look ballsy enough.
His ball looked more ballsy.
Wow.
So they just used the real one?
Yeah, it sounds like
the real one, and yeah.
Oh, that's perfect. That's like the opposite of like Boogie Nights and Mark Wahlberg's like fake prosthetic penis. They're like, if he's like, actually his penis is bigger, let's just go with the
yeah, exactly.
But she's worth 12 points, Alex, for Mrs. X Ted Lasso.
Great.
What is your second deep cut?
There is a scene where one of the characters is, a bunch of characters in prison, also in Sex Drive. And the female lead is talking to a lady on the toilet.
Yeah.
And she is in Smokin' Aces. She is the one who has the hyperactive nephew that helps Martin Henderson out.
I'm gonna mispronounce her last name, but her name is Marianne Mueller-Lee, and I best know her from like Terminator as the wrong Sarah Connor.
Oh yeah,
she's one of the Sarah Connors that gets killed right off the
doorway.
Yeah.
In the doorway. 16
points, Alex. You're not supposed to beat Michael Cudlitz at the game with his own movies, so stop trying so hard. Sam, what is your second deep cut?
It's been a minute since I've seen Sex Drive, but I believe that there's a band in it.
Sure.
And I'm not going to say the band because I got burned on that before, so I'm going to try to say the members. I only have one guess, so I'm going to say Pete Wentz.
Yes,
Pete Wentz is is he the lead singer of? I'm not going to say the name of the band either.
Is he not?
No, he's not the lead singer. Ginger's the lead singer.
All right, so
I don't want to say what his name is unless you're going to give it to me.
No, I mean you've only got one guess right now, so he is worth 12 points for Pete Wentz. Well done. Michael, you've got 2. Your second and third. You could go with your Steve Pink, which I'll tell you.
I'm going to go, Steve Pink, because he's in 2 different. Although I don't know if director
he does. Yeah, we only take sometimes directors obviously put themselves in the movie. They got a little cameo.
But he's still pretty deep for the other, which is pretty.
Yeah, he does not show up in Hot Tub Time Machine, which if I'm not mistaken, he did direct. But he is the security guy and the writer.
Maybe he does.
So Steve Pink for 16 points. So that's a good one. Another good one. And you get your third one as well, Michael. What is your third deep cut?
Marsden.
For Sex Drive. Yes.
Yep. Sex Drive.
James Marsden for 5 points. He's really good in that movie. I didn't know he was that funny.
He's hilarious.
At least that kind of comedy. Like I've seen him in Enchanted and stuff like that, and he's funny, but this was like he's such a dick in it. Like he's really good.
When he runs headfirst into the garage door with the helmet on.
I love that gag, which they use twice, and it's just as funny the second time where he has bailed on the dirt bike, and it's just in the background skidding down the
road. Well done, Sam Barry. What is your third deep cut?
Okay, so Grosse Point Blank, there is at least one Cusack, and if where there's one, there are usually multiples. I don't want to say the main person
That's
or
fine.
the main sister, but I'm going to say I believe Anne Cusack is in it as well. I think she's in the
Yeah,
reunion part.
she's at, I believe they're at a restaurant having a drink. He's having a
Oh
drink
yeah,
with the lead,
Yeah,
and she comes up and she's like, "Oh my god, are you guys still together?" or something
yes,
like
yeah,
that. Anne Cusack, I think most notably known from more recently is in The Boys, right? As Starlight's mom in The Boys.
yeah.
That, that
So is Joan Cusack in it. Of course, I'm ruining the game now.
yeah.
They're both
no,
in it.
That's all right. Anne Cusack for 12 points. We're skirting around the bigger, more well known Cusacks until we get there. Alex, you get your third one, and then I'll give you guys a point update at the halfway point.
So in Sex Drive, Miss Tasty, the girl that the main guy is driving across the country to see, is Sarit from 30 Rock.
Yes, and was she not in like Piranha 3D, Alex, as well? If I'm not
Probably.
mistaken.
Yeah.
Yeah. Her name is Katrina Bowden.
But
she the
yep.
one who kind of looks like Ben Stiller's wife a little bit.
A little
Yeah.
bit, yeah. She does, yeah. A little like is it
Christine
Taylor?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. She's worth 9 points, Alex. For
That's
Miss
good.
Tasty. So at the halfway point, Alex, you have 37 points. Sam, you have 42 points. Holy shit. Sam.
Oh, that's 40 more than I thought.
And Michael Cudlitz, you have 39. So it's very close. 39, 42, 37. It's a close game. I love it. Alex, what's your fourth deep cut?
There is in the extended cut, in the unrated on the DVD,
Holy
there is
shit.
as a truck driver, Kyle Gass from Tenacious D. Is in that.
Oh,
Oh,
wow.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, because I watched it and was like, "Where's Kyle Gass?" But it's an uncredited.
Because the unrated cut is 20 minutes longer. It's a big difference. It's nice. It's fun.
16 points for Kyle Gass. Alex, well done.
Sorry, Jeff.
Jeff sounds really upset with you.
Dan Barry, what is your fourth deep cut?
All right, I'm pretty sure his name, the lead singer, the ginger, is Patrick something. Patrick. It starts with an S.
Are you stumped?
Oh, yeah, that's it. That's it.
Yeah.
I'm like, I know it. I can see it.
It's Pat Stump. I'll give it to you for 12.
Is he in it?
Yeah, Pat Stump. They're all in it. So if you can
Okay.
somehow remember all of Fallout Boy's
Those are the
names,
only two that I know.
that's okay. Because you were
Sorry.
smart in going for the singular rather than just saying Fallout Boy.
Yeah,
'cause
I
then
learned
you
from Blink-182. I learned.
You did, yes. Michael Cudlitz, you have your fourth and fifth. There's only 6 rounds, so you're in the home stretch here. And then
We got Gross Point Blank, Benny the Jet.
Benny the Jet.
Benny the Jet. He was he's the guy who he fights with the pen.
Yes. He's the stunt man. Benny.
He's a big
Benny,
jet.
yeah, he's a stunt man guy, right?
Benny.
Benny, your Quetus.
No. No.
I don't want to argue with the guy who was in the movie, but
I'm not sure. No, I'm not. It's Benny. Benny the Jet.
Okay. So in Grosse Point Blank, Benny Urquidez, he's an American kickboxer.
Benny the Jet.
Yeah. So maybe that's his like fighting
He's called
name.
Benny the Jet. Yeah.
Yeah. So
American
it's
kickboxer.
nicknamed the Jet. Yeah.
There you go.
So we were both right.
Yeah.
No,
that's what I'm saying.
he was right.
I would never say you're wrong. I would just say.
Well done. So
I'll
Benny,
say he's wrong. Don't worry.
he's not really done a whole lot of acting. He was more of a stunt man and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
he was a stunt guy, and then the story is that kind of that ties in with John Cusack Say Anything, kickboxing, sport of the future.
I always felt like Grosse Point Blank was like an unofficial sequel to Say Anything.
Kind of, I think it is.
Like, whereas like though in Grosse Point Blank, they're kind of surprised that he didn't go off to do great things. Where I don't think anyone thought Lloyd Dobler from Say Anything was going to go off and do great things. He just wasn't going to sell anything that had been made, processed, or whatever.
or buy anything that had been made, processed, or sell
Yeah.
buy anything.
Yeah.
Do I have to answer that today, sir? Do you want an answer right now?
But well done. 16 points for Benny. What is your fifth deep cut? This one's for you.
Me
Mike.
again?
Yeah. You got your fifth
sure.
one, and then you're almost done.
What did I write down?
And if I almost want to give you a hint. There's an actress in the movie that I don't think you could have any lines with her, but at the end of the film, after they've killed the guy with the pen and then burned his body in a school, like I don't know if it's a garbage incinerator, but I'm like, bodies can't be burned in that. Like that's not going to work. But he comes back to the gymnasium, and you're sitting at the table talking to an actress who's in the film, who's actually fairly well known.
I mean, Jenna Elfman's in the movie.
That's right.
We danced together.
Yeah.
I didn't.
Yes.
Yeah, I didn't do a deep cut on that because she at the time hadn't done. She like me. We were both hired because they hired all their buddies on that, and then they lost the guy who I was playing. He was still shooting The Rock, Escape from Alcatraz, and he couldn't get back. He was a buddy of theirs, and they were like, "We need to replace him." And they hired me because I didn't know anyone on the film, and neither did Jenna. So we actually spent most of our time hanging out together because everybody knew each other except us.
Yeah, because they were kind of like that Chicago crew of guys,
and all
right?
the Second City group they either knew, and then there's I don't want to. Well, yeah, I mean, you guys got to go. Well,
it's okay.
The other guy,
you can say
the other guy,
The other guy.
his dad was their teacher.
Oh, that was on a
Chicago.
pretty good show too.
I don't even care. Jeremy Piven's dad was was a big acting coach in Chicago, and they all were taking class from him. So
that's cool.
But yeah, Jen Elfman, she's wearing the full neck brace and everything like that because I think she'd been like hit by a car or something like that. So she's worth 12 points. Yeah, now you guys don't actually have any lines together, but you are, I think, dancing with her and then sitting at a table with her. So, so 12 points for Jenna Elfman. Long before, what was it like in the 90s? There, every sitcom was Dharma and Greg, and then there was like Will and Grace and so many other sitcoms.
And then she was on Fear the Walking Dead, and then
that's right.
And now she's starring opposite Tim Allen on his new half hour.
Oh, okay. Shifting Gears.
Oh. I just remember her making a weird cameo, which I loved in that high school movie with.
Can't Hardly No.
Yeah, Can't Hardly Wait.
Can't Hardly Wait with my favorite Ethan Embry.
Yes.
Did you ever, Michael? Were you on? Was Ethan Embry on the same time of The Walking Dead when you were on? No.
He came in for a second.
He had like a quick cameo and dies.
Yes.
Because he questions Rick with their whole idea, like, we're going to get all the zombies out of the big quarry and have them go down the road. And I was like, that is the worst idea I've ever heard.
There were so many bad ideas.
Yeah, and he calls Rick on. He's like, why are we listening to you? This is a bad idea. And then he immediately gets killed. And I was like, well, that's why you don't ask questions of Rick. You just do what he says.
Back off.
Sam, what is your fifth deep cut?
So I feel bad because I do not know what this lady's name is, but I remember her. So she's from Grosse Point Blank. She's one of the teachers that's happy to see him when he comes back. She was in so many sitcoms growing up in like the 80s and 90s. She's also, I think, a big character on the George Lopez show. Or
yeah,
Lopez,
I literally have written down that she was in the George Lopez show. Her name is Belito Marino.
Yes.
And yeah, she greets the lead of Grosse Point Blank when he comes back to the high school, and he's like, you look great. And she's like, oh, you always were, whatever, a sarcastic little whatever. So yeah, Belito Marino for George Lopez, 15 points, Sam. Holy shit.
Well done, Sam.
Come on.
Well done.
This
Alex, you're doing too good, Sam. You're doing too good.
Sorry. I'm going to say just the main
Alex, what are your final two deep cuts?
My final two. I thought I only had one. So in Sex Drive, the Hitchhiker is David Koechner. Yep. He's in it a fair amount, so I think it's too many points. But
let me see, David Koechner, where is he? He's 10 points, Alex.
Great. And the extremely sarcastic Amish guy in it is Seth Green.
Seth Green, yep.
Seth Green, yeah, he's actually only worth like 5 points because he's in it a
bunch. Yeah.
They fixed that car up like a dozen times, and every time
Fall Out Boy's bus, which is why they do
that's right
3-song set.
That's right. Sam, what is your final deep cut?
I know it's not very deep, but I really like the quirkiness of this actor, and I'm just going to say it because Back to the Future was a huge movie franchise that I love. So Hot Tub Time Machine, Crispin Glover.
Crispin Glover, yeah, as the guy who loses his arm at some point.
Yeah, and did they ever explain it? Because I was always like, how does he lose it?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if it's when
they keep thinking it's this way or that way.
Yeah, they keep teasing it. I don't know if he ever actually loses it in the movie.
Now I'm gonna have to go back and watch it.
He's worth 7 points for Crispin Glover. All right, Michael, it's your final deep cut. If you've got something big, now's the time to use it. Or even if it's just a funny story about someone, you can use it now, and I'll give you bonus points. But,
Yeah.
What do you got left?
I'm trading on content. What would be who? I feel like the and I don't remember her name, but the Ringspronger girl I feel like she's done a bunch of stuff since. And she was, I think, local hire there. Ringspronger.
Yeah, the drunk one.
But I don't know. Let's
I'm trying to think who's left here from Grosse Pointe. There's the two. I wouldn't say them yet, but there's like a couple of FBI agents that are pretty well known.
There's a bunch. In Grosse Pointe, it was like everybody.
And if anyone could remember who plays John Cusack's mom in a very brief scene where he goes to like an old age home, she's a fairly famous actress.
Oh wow!
I can see her face, but
yeah, she's a tough one. The dad, the lead female's dad, is also, he's in Lethal Weapon. If anyone can remember who he was in Lethal Weapon, like the first Lethal Weapon. No,
from Grosse Pointe.
Yeah. So the
Mimi's was it Mimi's dad?
Meanie's dad, who he is sent to kill, in the like that's who he's been hired to actually kill at the end. If you could tell me who he is in Lethal Weapon, or if you know his name, I'd give it to you. And but no, okay.
I got nothing.
Ah, shit. Okay.
I got nothing without cheating at this point.
I'll have a little sneak peek. Who cares?
Nah, we appreciate that. Honestly, that's good. It's good.
I'm just teasing.
I'll just go Jeremy Piven.
Jeremy Piven for a solid
6, probably.
I had him down for. Yeah, I had him down for 6. Well done. You know everyone's always like, oh, these points don't make any sense. He figured this out one fucking game. He knows how it works. So Jeremy Piven for 6.
I often am going like, he should be worth more points, just yelling at my radio.
Let's see if there's anything big you mixed. Obviously, from Grosse Pointe, we all know the John Cusacks. And hey, Dan Aykroyd, Joan Cusack. Alan Arkin is the psychiatrist.
Alan Arkin would have been great, yeah.
Would have been a good one. Hank Azaria and K. Todd Freeman are the FBI agents. K. Todd Freeman, I think he's from the Lemony Snicket's TV show, if I'm not mistaken. The dad, Minnie Driver's dad, is an actor named Mitchell Ryan, who is the bad guy in Lethal Weapon. He is Gary Busey's boss, who's like Joshua, and he's putting the flame under his hand. That's him. Sex Drive. Sam, you know when I said you could say your own name and it would work? One of the Amish girls was played by an actress named Sam Barry.
What? I should have said my own name. I said I shouldn't say my own name. You said absolutely.
She's not the Rumspringa chick.
She's not the Rumspringa chick. I believe that her name is Alice Greason, and she was in the Dukes of Hazzard movie a few years ago.
Oh, she would have been like a 62-pointer.
Not quite. Let's see anyone else here. I mean, you guys did pretty good. The guy who plays Kripke on The Big Bang Theory is in it as well. He's the dentist that fixes.
Yeah.
Amanda Crew, the girl from Silicon Valley.
He's a dentist.
He's the dentist.
Before that, he played the elf in I Want to Be a Dentist. No, I'm kidding.
I was like, what? And I was like, but well done.
Frosty the Snowman.
Yeah.
Comedian Brian Posehn also has a very small role.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you're right.
I think at like the carnival where he's climbing up the ladder and it keeps
no coaching.
No coaching. That's him. And yeah, that's about it. And we didn't do Hot Tub Time Machine. I think the big one would have been, if anyone remembered, that William Zabka from the Karate Kid.
Billy Zabka was in that?
He's in it, a very small cameo at the end. And
oh my God, Billy's a good buddy of mine. I'm surprised. He was in Hot Tub 2 or 1?
He's in 1, and I think he just karate kicks Rob Corddry and knocks him out or something like that.
Rob Corddry would have been a good one too.
Yeah. So well done. I know who won, and I don't like it.
Sam won.
Don't bother. Give it to him.
Sam, you got 76 points. Alex, you had 68.
That's crazy.
Michael, you had 73.
Wow.
So close. That's why I was really trying to get you to like.
Yeah, but that was nothing I was coming up with.
I should have just said John Cusack like a jerk. What a jerk.
I mean, it would have gotten you 2 points. So, because he's in 2 of the movies. So well done. Sam, normally I ask the winner who they think would be a great future guest of Deep Cuts. but I don't want to hear from you at all, Sam.
I would just ask Michael to come back, so don't even bother asking me.
Michael, is it okay if we ask, who do you think would make, who's somebody, and I mean, I never get them. You're the only person I've ever gotten before. So
I feel like my buddy Josh McDermott would be a good.
Josh McDermott. Okay.
Yeah, he played Eugene on Walking Dead, and he's in the new Suits.
Oh,
Suits
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And he's used to be a stand-up comedian.
Okay.
So he's got a really dry sense of humor, and he's really funny, and
Eugene.
he's really sarcastic. He's
such a great character. He's such a weirdo.
I'll put in a good word. I don't know if
He's
so busy right now, and I don't know if he's doing any podcasts, but because I stopped doing them for a while because people were like every week, and they're all nice people, but it's like every week somebody had a podcast.
Somebody wants you,
I stopped for a while, so you're the first podcast I've done in quite a while.
Well, I appreciate you taking the time.
I don't want to do the podcast either, but I kind of like, once you had agreed to do it, I was like, well, I guess we're doing it until he comes on. Like, I can't not do the podcast.
It's great.
Now.
This is fun.
Yeah, well, thank you. Hey, listen, I can't give in-depth movie analysis like some other people and stuff like that, but this is kind of where we
can play a game about it.
No, exactly. Well, and if you get the right people on, there's people who tell way better stories than me, and but like you get somebody.
You were great.
No, I'm telling you, you get somebody who's done a bunch of stuff, and then they just have stories just because they've been there. Like
you're talking about you. You have a bunch of stories. You're great. We like to listen.
Yeah. What do you got coming up? I know Superman and Lois is done now. What's next?
Strangely enough, this is the first time in a long time that I have nothing coming up. I usually have something that I'm about to shoot or that's about to air, and I don't. The business is really weird right now. This is literally the first time this has happened in probably 25 years.
Wow.
We've passed on a couple things, so I feel like it's self-inflicted partially, but we're just waiting for the right thing to come along. Things have just started warming back up in the industry, but the strikes and the contraction from all the streamers, Harrison Ford being a jerk, really.
Second year out of every
nobody understand what I meant. No, it's just a really interesting time right now in the industry, and I'm curious to see how we come out the other side. There's a Western that's been on again, off again, partially why I'm not shaving at all. So I'm just going to wait till I get my next thing to see what I have to shave for.
Yeah, what you have to look like for that. Yeah.
Yeah. So when they tell me what I got to look like, or we figure out what I got to look like, that's how I'm going to look.
Sam Barry, what's going on with you?
Nothing. I just sit in the dark room and wait for you to call me, Jeffy. But, I am super happy because I don't know what happened, but I think we talked about this like almost a year ago, and then you were saying like, it would be great if he came on. And I was just like, if he ever comes on and you do not invite me to be on the show, friendship over. I don't want to ever know you ever again. If I find out the ultimate betrayal.
Well, when you first agreed to come on the show, I literally sent Sam a text and I was like, so I've got this guy. And I literally kind of said all the same things. So it's like, he's been on a show with Leonardo DiCaprio. He's been in a movie with Brad Pitt. And I was like, he's been on one of the best things on AMC and maybe the best thing ever from HBO. And she's like, oh, is it Michael Cudlitz? And I was like, well, I guess you've got to come on the show.
Like, if you don't.
Yeah.
Over.
Alex Young, what's going on with you or us?
Nothing. You know the answer is nothing. But as always, support your local cinema. Support any of your local rep cinemas. Make sure you shop, physical media. For those of you looking to catch up on Superman and Lois, I myself just pre-ordered the complete series on Blu-ray, which comes out April 1st. So you can get that at Base Root Video or anywhere else you get your physical media. But other than that, keep listening to this podcast.
Is that a bottle of Woodford on your shelf?
It is, yes. And there's also some Lagavulin up there and a couple others. I understand are you a bourbon and rye guy? Is that right?
More bourbon and rye. Yeah, my wife's Scotch, so I'm bourbon, rye, and tequila. We own, we're partners in whiskey cigar bars. We have two in Atlanta, one in Nashville, one in Dallas, and our first franchise just opened up down in Brickell.
Oh, that's very cool.
A year ago.
What's it called?
Oh, it's called the Red Phone Booth.
Cool.
It's a members club, but not member only. Like you go to it's a 20s style speakeasy. You go to like a local concierge, any of the nice hotels. You can get the code, and the code's about having it be fun to get in, not about keeping people out.
Yeah.
So
That's
you literally do the code in a red phone, nondescript storefront with a red phone booth. You go and you dial the number. It's kind of like
cool.
Get Smart. The phone opens up in the back, and you're literally transported into the 1920s.
That's very cool.
I love that. I love a speakeasy, especially the hidden. There's one in Montreal that I've been to a couple times called the Cloak Room. It's just a men's clothing store, and there's a mirror that you just kind of wait at, and then somebody opens it up and they'll bring you in. It's great. It's a great time.
I went to one in LA a bunch of years ago. I don't know if it's still there, but it looks like a flea market in an alley, and you go through like an old timey fridge, and you're in like very 70s. It's called like Good Times at Davy Wayne's. So much fun.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool.
That's very cool.
Alex, I'm afraid to do this now. What is Alex writes my outro for me every night, and I never get to see what it is, and often he makes me do something. Is there any direction for this, Alex?
You know there is, Jeff, but don't worry, I kept it in your wheelhouse. So because we have Lex Luthor on, I wanted you to do one of my favorite impressions that you do, which is 70s animated Green Goblin.
Okay.
Which is like one of the only impressions you have. So I wrote it in the style of classic Green Goblin.
Okay, I'm going to say, I got to do a line.
Do your anchor line? That's fine.
Yeah. Hello, Peter Parker! Okay, that's it. Okay. You ready?
I like that you shouted it out the door.
I'll try not to, I'm going to sit back a little bit. I don't want to scream it at anyone.
You think this is over? You haven't seen the last of Norman Oz. I mean, the Green Goblin. I'll get you next time, and your friends Sam Barry and Michael Cudlitz. You have powerful allies, Spider-Man, but that won't help you. I'm on all social media and anywhere you get your podcasts. I'll see you next week.
Great.
I mean, that was pretty fucking good. I don't know.
Not to toot your own horn, Jeff.
Was that done by what's his name? Ron Howard's brother?
Was that the old Clint Howard? Yeah, maybe.
Clint Howard in there. Clint Howard doing